Lawyers on both sides are speaking out nearly 2 weeks after a jury acquits a New Haven woman charged with killing her husband. Alison Davis said her husband Kevin fell down the stairs, but Allen County prosecutors thought he was hit with a blunt force object. A murder charge was filed against Davis in December 2023. From there, it was almost a year and a half until the case went in front of a jury.
It seemed like when the history did not match the injuries, it was the appropriate call to charge it, even though we knew we had some difficult hurdles.
During the trial, a lot of the prosecution's witnesses were law enforcement and medical professionals to testify on how they thought Kevin Davis could have gotten his injuries.
We knew our hurdles. I mean, we knew we had some obstacles there, things that we just could not answer for the jury, and that's hard because we can't answer them for ourselves either.
Two of those hurdles were no weapon and no clear motive.
They were asking the jury to believe that Allison was kind of a master criminal and had altered the scene. That explained away their evidence missing, but then they also were asking the jury to believe that she'd made just, very stupid mistakes.
I think in every case, there's unanswered questions. We can never produce an answer for everything. A lot of times in a homicide case, it is the why. We can give ideas about the why. Why would someone do this? But we cannot produce the exact moment of the why.
Prosecutors don't have to produce a motive. They just need to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt.
When a jury walks into a courtroom and the judge says, "You're here on a murder case," I think what they envision in their brain, the jury, is, there's going to be solid evidence of a motive, solid evidence of a murder weapon. There's going to be solid evidence, witnesses that saw something, and makes it very clear that this was in fact a murder, and you just didn't have that.
We thought, if we could break it down to its simplistic form, which is, first of all, do you think Kevin's got these injuries from the stairs? And if the answer to that is no, then the very next step is just, okay, well, who did it? Because there's only two people at that house at that time.
After 3 days of testimony and evidence, it was time for closing arguments, and then the jury was sent to deliberate. They would decide the outcome of this case.
It's nerve-wracking. Yeah, that's I think good trial attorneys are kind of control freaks a little bit, and that's the part we have absolutely zero control over, is how long they take, what they're talking about, what they think is important.
As the time chips on, you don't know if that time is going your way or if it's going not your way, and you get even more nervous.
We felt good. Andy always thought that we'd won. He's an optimist by nature, but he felt very good. I was a ball of nerves, but we felt good about the case we tried, and we felt like we had done what we could do.
And ultimately, 6 hours later, the jury came back with a not guilty verdict.
It is not a fun moment in a career as a prosecutor to hear the not guilty. We respect the jury's decision.
Andy wears his emotions on his sleeve, and I think that it's been a long road to this point. So Andy was very emotional from the moment we got the verdict. I think he kind of broke down in court.
The road to this point has been almost 2 years, which of course began with Kevin Davis's death. Lead prosecutor on this case, Tessa Helge, got to know his family during this process.
They are just amazingly nice people, and they put a lot of trust and faith in the system, and they respect it.
Allison's defense attorneys have maintained contact with her since the verdict.
It's going to be a long road to move past this and move past the grief of losing her husband, but I think she's starting to put the pieces back together, and I think she's doing all right.
Marcus Truccio, WANE 15 News.